Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Thursday, August the 27th, race number 7 at Saratoga. It's the Smart and Fancy Stakes, fillies and mares, going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Before we get to the analysis, please head on over to the DRF Saratoga handicapping shop, where you'll find PPs, picks, clocker reports, betting strategies, and all the must-have tools to win big at Saratoga. DRF.com/spa is where you'll find the Saratoga handicapping shop. Here's the field for the Smart and Fancy Stakes. Remember to download free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page, DRF.com. Access them, handicap along with us. We throw up the Timeform US pace projector for this race. Timeform US doesn't believe that this race will be run at a very fast tempo. The blue bar indicates this race will favor horses on or near the early lead. A great time, the 4 has speed. Peaceful, the 7 has speed. Introduce, the 6 has tactical speed. I'm not sure they're going to be going very fast, but I'm not sure they're going to be walking either.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It is one of those races where the more you look at it, the more you wonder what kind of pace there could really be in here. I mean, there's just no blazers in the race. We'll see if somebody gets aggressive and decides to, go out there and try and make the running early.
Christophe Clement put Rose Flower, the number 1, in a pretty tough spot for her one and only start this year off of a 6-month layoff. He ran her in the Intercontinental against Newspaper of Record. Once they caught Yielding going, they weren't going to beat Newspaper of Record anyway. This is obviously a much better spot for Rose Flower, but do you think the 5.5's a little sharp for her?
I wonder if this is going to be her best distance. Obviously, you can just tell by looking at her form that she's a sprinter. I don't know about the 5.5, Dan, but I'm not going to rule it out. I mean, she didn't win either of her 2 6-furlong races last year, but she ran really well in both of them, in particular the autumn days where she just got completely buried in traffic past mid-stretch. She had no chance in there and actually ran a lot better than it looks in that race. We'll see what happens. I feel like Clement maybe has found a good spot for here because this field is not as strong as some of the ones that she had been running in. And if she can handle the 5.5, I expect her to be tough in here.
And it's quite possible that they've been waiting for firm ground all along with Rose Flower. Yeah. 4 starts in North America, haven't caught any semblance of firm ground, and she won over firm going in France in her second lifetime start. Saratoga Treasure, the number 2, a 1-run closer, could be compromised by the expected lack of pace in this race. And conversely, to Rose Flower at least, she may want a little bit of give in the ground. Her best race by far came in that autumn days over a boggy aqueduct turf.
That is true. And she's going to have to bounce back out of the Caress where she just, for whatever reason, didn't run that well. She was wide in that race, never really got involved. But prior to that, I thought she ran pretty well 2 back in the Hestonite. Dan, there was no pace for her in there. She actually did pretty well, I thought, to get 3rd. And obviously, she was getting into really good form at the end of last year.
Get Mother O' Rose, the number 3, has some credentials. She's a graded stakes winner this year at Gulfstream, albeit around 2 turns in the Honey Fox, and she just did not have a trip last time out in the Caress.
She did not. It was unfortunate for her because she was actually in contention down past mid-stretch in there. And, it's funny, if you go back and watch the replay, it looked like she got bumped and then steadied out of the race. But when you watch the head-on, nobody got near her, really. She just got really intimidated getting in tight between and behind horses. She didn't like it at all, and she basically took herself out of the race. Very unlucky in that spot. I thought she ran well 2 starts back. She had a lot of races last year sprinting on the turf that would make her a contender in here. To me, she's a horse that I think you have to use.
The 4 is a great time, one of the expected pace setters, and a great time outran her 33-1 odds in this race. The license fee at Belmont. This race run in a driving rainstorm, a great time. The number 2 just easing out from the inside and is going to move into second briefly in between horses and will finish 3rd. A good effort for a great time against a pretty good field. And if she gets an easy time of it out in the lead, she has run figures that make her very competitive with these horses.
Yeah, she does fit in this race. And she ran fine in this race that we're watching, the license fee. I'll handle the cash. The beater is just a pretty good horse who would fit well in here as well. A great time, took a pretty good run at her, got turned away and settled for 3rd. I thought she ran fine in there, Dan. And if she gets right up close to a pace that isn't fast, she's going to have a big shot at this.
Miss Gossip ran a very good second in the Smart and Fancy in 2019 behind Alexandra, who's gone on to be a Grade 1 stakes winner against male sprinting on the turf. Miss Gossip last time out in the Caress had an outside post position, was wide every step of the way, and really just couldn't make up any ground. The lack of pace hurts her, but I think she's a little bit dirtied up.
I agree with that. The lack of pace does hurt her, but she's better than she looks on paper. Only 4 for 33 with a bunch of seconds and thirds. But this mare is pretty good, Dan. The kind of horse who, as usual, I like to use her underneath, and I'll probably do it here as well.
Introduced as a stakes winner on dirt, stakes placed on turf. She's been very consistent for most of her career, and as Timeform US's pace projector indicates, she's tactical. She sort of gave an even performance in the Caress, up close to the pace. This is probably a little bit of a better spot for her. I'm not sure I'd go as low as David has her on the morning line, but on her best day, she's a contender.
She's a contender. Of all the horses exiting the Caress, however, she seems like the one who comes out of it with no excuse at all. She got a really good trip in that race, sitting right up close to the pace and wasn't good enough.
I wonder if Peaceful's upside is going to help put her over the top. She's only run 6 races to date, including this effort earlier in the Saratoga meet, where she just was able to get an easy early lead. And when you get an easy early lead sprinting on turf, you're really able to punch it on home with a final burst. And that's what Peaceful did. She earned an 81 Beyer speed figure. The good news for Peaceful as she steps up in classes, she catches a race without much pace and she doesn't need the lead.
It really helps her that there's no pace in this race. Obviously, she really took advantage last time. So I don't really know what to make of that race. She is 2 for 2 sprinting on turf at Saratoga. She does have upside. I don't really know what to say, Dan. I'm not much of a fan of this horse. I guess she could win, but I'm going to stand against her one more time.
And the most fascinating horse in the race, in my opinion, by far is the number 8 Victory Kingdom, an Australian invader for Team Valor, getting Lasix and blinkers for the first time. I think the addition of Lasix is really going to help Victory Kingdom, who kept good company in Australia.
I mean, she really did. I don't know, really how to evaluate her, Dan. I don't know how good those races are. I don't really know what she was facing, but she's multiple group placed over there. She looks like a horse who just really wants to sprint, and maybe she's found a good spot here.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Smart and Fancy Stakes. It's your Thursday DRF race of the day. You're going with Rose Flower. I think you can make a lot of excuses for her races in North America, and I think if she gets firm going and at least a little bit of pace, you should be hearing from her late.
That's what I thought too. She is going to need some help, it seems like, in here. I just like her races, Dan. I think she's better than she looks on paper, and I think she's going to be a price in here.
I know you're not a fan of Peaceful. I just think a good trip is coming for her. She draws outside the other speed a great time, who still has to prove to me that she's kind of a New York Stakes horse. I know she ran well last time out, but she was a gigantic price over a wet turf course that day. I think Peaceful will be really in the thick of things turning into the stretch. Whether she's good enough to hold off the closers, we'll find out. 7-4-2-6 for me, 1-3-2-5 for Mike. It's the Thursday race of the day. The Smart and Fancy Stakes has an approximate post time of 4:41 Eastern. Good luck.